Okay, so I am Juki's big sister. I'm 21, he's 18, and Truman is 13. And our parents are Kate and Andy. And I have been thinking a lot about what I wanted to talk about, and what the most valuable thing I could say about being Juki's sister is here. And I started thinking about when I was younger, when he was younger, something I really struggled with was the siblings in the room, maybe parents, also caretakers, are going to know what I'm talking about. If you are with your loved one who has some kind of disability in public, a lot of times people will take that as an opportunity to come up to you and just congratulate you for interacting with your sibling. They will tell you that you're an angel, you're a really, really good person. My least favorite, that you're inspiring. And that first started happening to me maybe when I was 8, 12, I don't know numbers. But it was difficult for me to deal with because I wanted to be kind, I wanted to be polite, but I felt like I knew that it was coming from a place of deep ableism, right? Because if you trace that back, what they're really saying is if you talk to your sibling, if you respect your sibling, if you love your sibling with a disability, you're going above and beyond. And you're not. And so I really struggled with responding to that. I wanted to shut it down, but I didn't feel comfortable. And the turning point for me was one time Juki and I were at Rite Aid by ourselves. Our dad was shopping and we were sitting. And I was just having a conversation with Juki, and as most of you know, he's nonverbal, so we have, I do most of the talking. Just yes or no questions. Juki likes to tell jokes. It's really remarkable how much he can say just by pointing, signing, more, all done, yes, no, and with his body language and his facial expression. I was just talking to him, shooting the breeze in Rite Aid, whatever. And this older woman, 60s maybe, came up to me, and it was just the same bit as always. She told me that she'd been watching us, which already, it's okay, don't watch us, and that she was impressed. And she did use the word inspiration. I remember that. And that was the first time, I don't know what had gotten into me that day, but I was like, why? I don't know, explain yourself. Hi, Juki. And she couldn't, because you don't really want to say to a stranger, I assume that your sibling's a burden to you, therefore I'm going to go up to you and congratulate you, right? She kind of fumbled, kind of left us alone. It wasn't an adversarial interaction. She just kind of went on her way and we went on ours. And we were leaving, and I was like, that was kind of easy. That felt really good. Because when you're a sibling of someone like Juki, someone like all of the kids with the syndrome in this room, you kind of have to consistently advocate for your loved one's humanity, right? You have to reinforce to people this isn't a have to. When you decide to have a kid, you're not deciding to have a kid without a disability. You're just deciding to have a kid. You get whoever you get. And a sibling, it's not even a choice, but to me, it's just like so normal, right? Like the way that Juki is, like the way that we operate. It's not difficult. It's not hard. Like it comes with challenges, but it's not like, it's never been a burden. And so I just wanted to talk a lot about that because it was something I really, really had a hard time with when I was younger, and I've been doing a lot of thinking about it and like how I can best like support Juki and make him feel loved and convince strangers who have no idea what they're talking about that like he's just my brother, I love him, that's all that's going on there, you know. So that's all I have to say today, but thank you for listening to me.
Well, I guess that's us, so I'll leave that up there. So hello, my name is Maggie Noah, and I'm the older sister of Maggie Noah, and we're also the children of Gretchen and Mark. I'm gonna start first by explaining a nickname you guys may hear me throw around a little bit in reference to my little brother Marky. So when Marky was little, he went through a phase, as any kid does. However, Marky bizarrely went through a phase of wanting to be called different names. Everything from Dumbledore, which is a Harry Potter reference, to the name Tyler, which of course was the name of his best friend of the time. Eventually, the natural course of name changes shifted to Marky asking to be called Barky, as he found a new hobby in acting like a puppy. Unfortunately, little Barky sealed the deal for the nickname that has carried since, Bark. So, Marky, now more lovingly known in our family as Bark, is my little brother by 3 years. More importantly, Bark is one of my best friends. One facet of Marky's condition that has affected me indirectly is the fact that he has a congenital heart condition. Because of this fact, it became necessary to take Bark out of all contact sports and activities a few years back. It was an extremely hard transition for a kid who made some of his best friends playing soccer and who basically lives and breathes hockey. This shift finally became easier when Bark discovered his love of golf, number 1, video games, number 2, and more recently, number 3, theater. Theater was obviously not a natural inclination at first for a dude who had always been drawn more towards athletics. However, with a gentle push from his cool older sisters, Bark discovered a newfound love for singing, dancing, acting, and performing. The unfortunate fact, I am so sorry. Oh, it's just back to the original screen. The unfortunate fact that his heart condition forced him to pursue new interests has been one of the most gratifying parts for me in being his older sister. I've been a part of Bark discovering new interests and passions that he wouldn't have even considered otherwise. This past year, we both were able to be in 2 musicals together during the school year because there was fortunately 1 year of overlap in our high school careers. I was a senior this past year and he was a freshman. I couldn't be more grateful for this school year together. Bark and I have grown closer as siblings this year than any other year. I got to help him pick out an audition song for each show, guide him through the process of rehearsals and cast bonding, and I was blessed to see him grow into the parts he was given. The 2 shows we did were You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, in which Bark played Pigpen, and I was Lucy, and The Drowsy Chaperone, where I was the chaperone, and Bark hilariously played the role of Mr. Feltzig, which of course Bark adapted to fit this character perfectly. He executed a hilarious old Jewish man accent while carrying around a bulky cigar and wearing a stick-on mustache through the duration of the show. This said, it demonstrates how Bark not only grew from the struggles of his condition, but the dude thrived, getting a lead in one show and a strong supporting character in another, which is a remarkable feat for any freshman entering high school. On top of that, we grew closer as siblings with hours of singing show tunes commuting in the car, joking around, and trying to hold in laughs during rehearsal and backstage. Sitting down to plunk through singing notes on the piano, running lines at home, and endless in-between moments just spending time together. Bark has been affected by his condition, but not defeated. The best advice I can offer to help your SLOS child or sibling is to be adaptable and innovative to solve any problems or challenges that you face because of their condition. We helped Bark discover new loves and passions to substitute out his other sports. Every day, Bark faces challenges, but no challenge cannot be faced without the support, or with the support of your family and innovative thinking. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Knupp, and I have two brothers of SLOS, Ben Knupp, who is 20, almost an adult, and Jacob Knupp, who is 17. Having siblings of SLO is both good and difficult at the same time. There are a couple things that I appreciate about it and a couple things that are a little bit hard. But all in all, I love having two siblings with SLOS. One great thing about having a sibling with SLOS is that you have caregivers that can give them attention so that you can get more attention yourself. I also like being able to relax when my caregivers can watch my brothers and take them out places. I also like how both of my brothers obsess over little things, just like baseball or bowling or something fun that I can do with them all the time and they will never get old. There's another thing that I like to do when I have brothers of SLOS, and it's go to amusement parks. At amusement parks, usually you can get fast passes if you have two kids of SLOS. So I get the great advantage of being able to skip the line while everyone else looks at me and dreads me. There is, of course, always downsides to having siblings of SLOS. One of my brothers, Benjamin, has issues in the car where he'll like to bang his head, so it'll make it hard for us to travel places. But it's usually okay because we can calm him down on his iPad. Another thing of having kids with siblings of SLOS is that they take up a lot of attention. But that's not always that bad because I'm an introvert and I like spending time by myself. Another thing is that socializing with people is a little bit weird at first because my brother Jacob likes getting up in their face. But at least that makes them more used to our family. All in all, living with siblings of SLOS isn't that bad, and it's just some limitations and a little bit of aggravating things. But I like to think that me and my parents do a great job with my two brothers.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maggie Noah. I am also the daughter of Mark and Gretchen Noah, and I'm actually the eldest sister and oldest sibling in general of Marky Noah. Having Marky as a sibling has been a journey. So there's actually a 6-year age gap between Marky and I, and at times it's felt as though we were both figuratively and literally on completely separate schedules or even time zones, which is true even today. I only recently graduated from college, but here he is out in theater, living it up. I really care deeply about Marky, and I was always concerned for him growing up. But oftentimes I felt powerless to help him get better, or even at times have the opportunity to really get to know him, just because he was always at the doctor's. I remember there was a trip where my family took to Washington, D.C. to go to the NIH, and I was only 12 or so at the time, so we visited various monuments, but I kept on thinking in the back of my head that I wanted him to be there, that I wanted him to experience these things. But, we had to make sure that he was doing well as well. However, in these years too, we also did bond. As Mary had mentioned previously, one way in which Marky and I specifically bonded together was through video games. While he's not much of a player or even eloquent at video games today, during middle school and high school, I was very interested in video games and thus was always tucked away in the basement playing them nonstop. And over the course of time, Marky, started joining me. Even just silently, he would join me and watch me as I played. But slowly over time, we would have conversations with one another about, whether it be the latest Wii Sport edition or Legend of Zelda. And I really treasure those talks today because they were a way in which we not only got to spend time together, but sort of found common ground together. And even as I have been away at college, gaining a bachelor's degree, I've just been so proud in hearing his progress in theater, as I also was a theater kid in high school. So I was always proud in that sense. And now I love hearing about, Mary and Marky's various misadventures together. Oh, and my phone died, that's good. I would say, one piece of advice that I would give to, in regards to being a sibling with a child who has SLOS, is just to be present in any way you can and, get to know one another in that sense. Unfortunately, thank you.
Okay, I'm the last Noah that's going to speak today. My name's Katie, and I'm 14. I'm Marky's youngest sister. And then I've come to talk about the perks and flaws about being siblings with him. I'm going to start with the flaws just to get it over with. One flaw is that they are not always able to do everything that you want them to do or what they want to do, which may include sports and other physical activities. Another flaw is that they have to take medicine, which doesn't really affect me until my brother forgets his medicine at home and we have to run all over town for it. This flaw list is very short because, fortunate for me, my brother is very mild, which means he still has the strength to beat my butt in soccer or tease me about how short I am. Okay, now for the perks. My favorite perk about being siblings with Marky, hi Juki, is getting to travel. I'm kidding. But it is great going to all these fun places and seeing all these great people. Most of all, I love him because he is different. You walk around and see all the same people every day and it gets boring. With Marky, it's fun and adventurous. He is always positive about his syndrome and happy to answer any questions one might have about it, even if it's in the middle of an intense game of basketball where he is usually on the sidelines cheering people on. There is many more where this comes from, but I'm going to stop here because people start to drowse off. Thank you for this great opportunity to tell you a little bit about Marky and how special and great he is. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Dilly Rose. I've been a big sister to MEJ, and sometimes it's hard, sometimes it gets a little bit annoying, but I wouldn't trade this time with her for the world. She's the best sister ever. I love her with all my heart. Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Truman, and I'm going to be reading a speech I wrote about Juki. When I was born, I quickly came to the realization that my world would be different than most people's. The majority of other kids I knew, when I was little, all live relatively normal lives. Many of them had siblings and would talk about all the normal things they did with them. My world was a lot different. Having a brother who has autism and cannot communicate verbally has taught me a great deal of things about relationships. When I was just a baby, Juki would lift his hand to his eye and move back and forth to acknowledge how much I was crying. He and I would share books and toys, and I grew up loving Juki and thinking everything about my life was normal. When I started going to school, I would tell kids about my brother, and often because they were so young, they would be confused when I told them he could not talk. When they asked why, I told them what my parents had always told me, and that he was born with something called Smith-Lemli-Opitz syndrome, which made his brain work a little differently. As Juki grew older, he began to be frustrated when he could not communicate with us. as I grew older, I became more and more of the sad truth that not everyone's compassionate towards and understanding towards people like Juki. Having Juki as a brother has made me aware of the ableism that people with disabilities face. I knew that everyone understood, and some people never even tried to. When we would go out in public, often people would stare at him, and when they did this, it used to make me mad because I felt like they had no reason to stare at Juki. I would tell my parents that I wish they would stop staring at him. My parents would tell me that the strangers did not stare to be unkind, but because they were curious and wanted to further understand him. All throughout my life, Juki has been a friend to me. I love watching Disney movies with him and playing with him at the park, and he often makes me laugh with his excellent comedic timing by laughing at times that are not appropriate to laugh at. But every so often, his inability to communicate with us would make me mad. It would make him mad. Sometimes he would not get enough food or bite down on something he wanted, and he would turn mad. He would try to bite and pinch us in a state of anger that only lasted a few minutes. It took a toll on me seeing our brother like this. Because of the irregularity of his attacks, I developed a need for control and predictability in my life, which is something I am still working on. But that 0.01% of the time Juki is angry comes so rarely that now I no longer need to be afraid of him. Juki is a happy person most of the time. He loves his school, and he loves continually watching Finding Nemo over and over again. He lives in his own world, a world where he is safe and no one can hurt him. It's a beautiful world where he can talk in his own way. I think it is a world where everyone should try to understand, even if you are unable to visit.
Hi, my name is JC. What? I don't want anyone to see me. Hi, my name is JC. I am 8 years old, and it is hard having two siblings with SLOS. I am Lexi and Levi's sister. Lexi is 12, Levi is 4. I try being nice, but sometimes not. Levi is sweet and cute and loud. Lexi is smart and has anger problems.